Hey, what's up? It's Duskmos. Today I want to talk about a couple classics, the Moog MF-101 and MF-102. These Moogerfoogers, as they were referred, were the first in a line of pedals that Moog manufactured that were inspired by their vintage modular synthesizers that were even older than these. These are just continued now, but they're worth talking about because the 101 still sounds fantastic by today's standards. Very smooth, and you can have those peaky resonances if you really want to go that route. And the 102, it's really good sounding for a ring modulator. It's got multiple waveforms, square, sine, and yeah, we're gonna pair these up, do a little bit of a twofer in this one, and see how they sound. So yeah, let's give them a listen. This is Signal Colors. So as you can see, both pedals share a very similar sort of topography. We've got 5 rotary knobs, 2 rocker switches that are brightly colored, which are pretty enjoyable, 3 LED indicators, and a soft latching foot switch or finger switch. On the MF-101 here, the low pass filter, in the envelope section, we've got a control for a mount. We've got smooth or fast response of the envelope based on the incoming frequency. We've got a mix control from 0 to 10. In the center section, we have the drive control, which is an always on. In the filter section, we've got a cutoff control from 20 to 12K, a selector switch for 2-pole or 4-pole response of the filter, and a resonance control from 0 to 10. On the MF-102 ring mod, in the LFO section, we've got an amount from 0 to 10. We've got on the toggle switch, we've got, or the rocker, we've got the wave shape of the LFO, square or sine, and then a rate in hertz from 0.1 to 25 for the rate of the LFO. Center section matching as well, got the drive control. And under modulator, we've got mix, a low or high response for frequency basis of the carrier signal here on this rocker, and then a frequency control here. And then yeah, the soft latching foot switch. As you can see, there's tons of I/O on the back, lots of options for either expression control or even CV control if you want to set it up for that use. But yeah, let's hook them up and hear how they sound. All right, I've got the Moogerfoogers here, low pass filter MF-101 and ring modulator MF-102, paired it up with the Analog RYTM MKII. And I thought this would be a good demonstration just to kind of show sort of the basic fundamentals. I have them in this particular order because I'm going out of the analog rhythm into the ring mod and then into the filter. So you can kind of filter the effects of the ring mod, which I think kind of makes some sense in this configuration. So to kick off, this is just a drum pattern I've created, and we'll start with just a basic kick drum. So as you can see, that's the sound we're working with. Here we've got a drive control. So you can definitely see the, or not see, but you can hear the drive come up a little bit. I don't want it to distort, but we'll keep it kind of there because this is going to be fuller very shortly. But to kick things off, this is where we are. So we'll get some ring mod going. And so you can kind of hear it now. But in the low setting, it actually works more as like a tremolo. So you hear it's more of like an amplitude modulation instead of any kind of like ring effect, which is pretty cool and pretty useful. You can bring up the speed. And then here it starts to get audible. You hear the pitch change. And if you match it, or at least get somewhere sort of in the range, you can kind of really beef up or change the tone of something like a kick drum, which is pretty cool, but pretty low. It gets into tremolo territory. So we'll leave it here for now. You can change the rate, and you see the rate being affected here, well, affecting the LFO light, and you'll hear it more when it's in the high frequency ranges. You can kind of get a little taste of it there. But we cross over high frequency, go. Now you really hear the effect of the square wave. Right now the filter is bypassed, that's why this red light is lit. Just FYI, so kind of ignore that for the moment. So get some kind of arrhythmic sort of pitch modulation there. But you start going into audio rates, and it gets pretty wild. You bring the mix down, so you just get a little bit of it in there. So that way you get the original kick coming through, but then you get the addition of this weird offbeat kind of modulation. It's pretty cool. We'll change it over from square wave to sine wave, which sounds a little silly, but you can make it sound less silly. Go into full mix, that's all you get. And then in low back, again, you hear kind of more of that, almost like a tremolo effect, but smooth wave with a sine instead. So to bring in a little bit more sound, so we'll bypass, this is what it sounds like clean. It's a very sizzly hat action going on. Now crunched up by the ring mod. Really fun to just kind of tweak the knobs. You definitely can kind of play it. Maybe not so much on the sine, but the square wave is a little. Get a little bit more subtle with the LFO amount, so it doesn't stray that far from the input pitch, which I think is kind of cool. It definitely adds like a little subtle modulation and kind of keep it kind of dialed down in the mix. Maybe find a complementary frequency. I don't know if that's a complementary frequency, but it doesn't sound terrible to me. Go low. So that's kind of cool. We'll leave it there for now. But I'm going to bring in some of the other sounds. See if you go full in the mix. It's pretty wild. Again, clean. Sounds like this. But ring modded. But dial the mix down. And you still get that subtle pitch change of the kick, which sounds pretty cool. So now's a good time to bring in the filter. I'll go ahead and change the bypass. There's a cut to 0, which is pretty cool. Back off the drive a little bit. cutoff all the way down to nothing. Very cool. So the envelope can change. See, you kind of need the resonance up to really hear it happen, but you can see the envelope light go, sort of react to it. You can really see it and hear it now. There you go. So that's the smooth response. We can change it to fast response. You hear it kind of dig a little more. It's kind of cool. It makes it a little bit more rhythmic filtering. If you change it to a 2-pole, you get a little bit more of the brightness come through. 4-pole is definitely a darker sound. So see 4-pole, 2-pole. Drive a little bit more. Now we're in some crazy territory. Then you bypass it, it goes away, and kind of return to a state of not so crazy. Filter, bypass. Just kind of punch it in and out. Just alternate. Kind of like ramping the rate or the frequency and then bypassing it, so it's kind of like a build. Kind of cool. You can get a little performative. Go back to the sine wave, re-engage. Really mess it up. So you can bypass these. Both back. Bypassing and sweeping. The envelope is kind of doing a little bit of that for us. someone blowing a whistle. We'll go back down to a tremolo style. It sounds pretty cool. Alright, bypass those, stop this, and we'll do another pattern here just to kind of hear something a little different. So I'll go ahead and kick off the full pattern. So that's what we're working with. And I'll bring in the ring mod, which in this case is now tremolo. We'll flip it over to high frequency. And bring the filter in. Some really weird stuff there. Just quick bypasses. Some little kind of crazy sweeps for style points. Yeah, you didn't think you'd be hearing a ring mod solo today, did you? Sign. Try to do something a little bit almost like a tempo match kind of thing. Switch over to high again. So we'll just focus on just the filter alone a little bit here. You can kind of dial in a sound by working the filter. Dial up some resonance to kind of put some emphasis. Oops, need some mix up. Take the volume or the amount of the envelope down. So now it's just filter. But yeah, dial something in there. Bypass it. So you can kind of maybe play that to almost drop parts if you don't want to mute here, for example. Well, I don't know where things are on this pattern, but Always fun to sweep a filter. But yeah, you can just hear how creamy it sounds. There's definitely a bit of a vowel kind of quality, a vocal quality. Definitely one of the best sounding filters out there. They know what's up. One more time with both. Let's go to outer space. Bypass. Didn't do much of the high resonance stuff. The high frequencies really get to me, but yeah, you can really take it to that place if you want. You gotta be careful though. Definitely had some close calls with some speakers with this thing. Oh! There you go. Proof positive. And there we go. That is the MF-101 low-pass filter and MF-102 ring modulator with the Elektron Analog RYTM MKII. The Moogerfooger line of pedals have obvious roots in early modular synthesizers from Moog. They have this hint of nostalgia, but they don't sound outdated or anything, they just sound classic. There's a huge line of pedals in this range from Moog, and even though they're out of production, they're definitely not out of style. One thing I love about them is their look and feel. The knobs turn really smoothly with just the right amount of resistance, and these rocker switches are awesome. They look cool, they feel cool, and just the overall aesthetic with the wood and the matte metal, at least on this version, is reminiscent of the early days of synthesis, and I'm a big fan. One thing that doesn't disappoint is the huge amount of I/O on these things. Tons of connection points for CV control if you're into that, or you can control almost everything with an expression pedal, which is really cool if you want to get some crafty setups going with lots of modulation happening. The filter sounds great. It's got that creamy sort of quality to the frequency cutoff, and it can really tame high frequencies and bring some of that vintage warmth and filtering to what you run through it. And the ring mod can take you to some wild territory fast. They both have that handy drive feature that helps ensure you can use these with all kinds of signal levels, which is nice. Or you can even add a little bit of distortion if that's what you're looking for. These are classics, and for good reason. They're tools, and sometimes you just need a thing to do a thing and do it well, and that's how I see these. They're just high quality tools that get the job done and done right. Not a lot of frills or fuss, just good control and solid build, and they really just work.